Hello, everyone. Welcome back, or welcome. My name is Ping. I am CEO of Optical Networks, and I have Thomas, our sales engineer, with me.
Yes.
This is our sixth webinar in this mini series. Thank you again for being with us. Let's jump right into it. As always, if you have questions, please don't wait. Ask them right away into the chat box out of this GoToWebinar platform, and Natalie in the back will fill them out to us or hold them back to the end. Again, there's a survey at the end. We really appreciate your feedback on that. Even if it's just a thumbs up or thumbs down, it does help us a lot. And last but not least, again, this is recorded. If you did miss the other ones, they are available on our YouTube channel. Our next one, it seems like a long break because of Easter, and so happy Easter, first of all, to everyone. Is next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to talk about TCP UDP and especially how it relates to BACnet in particular. And then we're going to go on with the protocols and talk about other things in the next few sessions. All right, Tom, you're up.
Perfect. Thanks very much. Today we're going to be talking about VPNs, virtual private networks. So as usual, we're going to just reference our very simple network overview. So what a VPN is, virtual private network, is going across the public wires, public connections that are not your own privately owned ones, but having the same effect of having your own private network, not having anyone able to access information. So a VPN, as you can see here, we have internet, public, or VPN. So that's what we have it in brackets there. That would be if a person in layer 2 on the or layer 3 network on the left wanted to access something in the layer 3 network on the right, but didn't want to be doing it over public means, they would use a VPN. Once again here, it's we're just referencing how everything fits in the network, how each component slots in. You can see there would be the internet. So we have our SaaS, we have a server or something there. If we wanted to access that, but once again, privately, if this is something that's very much VPNs, probably something that you're all familiar with at this stage from working from home, accessing information without having that information traveling across public means or being available to hackers.
We'll talk about this in just a moment, but just quickly for those who are familiar with BACnet here with us, VPNs can be over layer 2 or layer 3, actually technically even layer 7. Just keep that in mind because when it comes to applying BACnet over VPN, it does depend which protocol you use, and we'll talk about that later.
So virtual private networks, what they do is they protect your data when you're on a public network now. So they're going to allow you to keep your information, keep it safe from hackers. As you can see in our little diagram, we have you connecting to the network and just keeping yourself from hackers or any supervisory people as well that you want to avoid. Not really recommending that we use this to keep away from corporate or anything, but especially just keep your information private for people with bad intentions. It is a door to a private network, so it is just how you get in, how you are able to access into this private network from a remote location, from a place that isn't connected with your own private wires. And while it's the way we kind of example, we looked at firewalls there previously, while the firewall is going to allow us, it's going to protect your data on your own network, the VPN is going to protect it on the public network. So it's almost the external firewall for your information. Maybe that's not the best term for it, but it's what's going to protect you outside network.
Yeah, and that's why very often firewalls are called brick walls, and VPNs are often referred as metal pipes, tunnels, right? So the firewall protects you from the inside, and then the pipe is that protects the channel that you're connecting to places.
So there's 3 primary reasons for using your VPN. Security, corporations who want to all have a seamless kind of network, they want seamless if we're all in the same LAN, and if you want to change your location. So security, obviously, that's a very obvious one. If we want to go send information across an area, as you say, we want to steal pipe, we want a tunnel, we want something that's going to not allow anyone to come in and intercept this. And then we have, if you have a large corporation or something, you might have it somewhere located in New York, you might have somewhere located in Vancouver here and somewhere in Europe, but you want these places to have a seamless. You want to hire for your sales team. And there might be a lot of as people are using now, a lot of WebEx, a lot of Zoom kind of meetings where you want people to be hired and not really to be defined by the branch. You want it to be seamless in all one company. So you can have VPNs that allow your company to communicate and work as if they are all on the one LAN without obviously having to have this information available to anyone else who's in between, who has access to maybe the routers or the switches that this information will travel through in going from New York to Vancouver or to Europe. And finally, changing your location, more of a small one. If you might notice when you're going previously even on Netflix, or if you want to get a better value online shopping, you can actually VPN to a different location, and then you'll be able to appear as if you are in that location. So you'll be able to have different access to area restricted material or area restricted files.
Yeah, in our case, security incorporated the access of two physical places would likely be your reason for doing this, and that's what I was mentioning earlier. If you're looking to use VPN to create one flat backnet system, you'll have to be careful which protocol you use, because backnet leverages layer 2, especially for broadcast, who is IAM, unconfirmed COV, so on and so forth. And if you don't choose the right VPN, it will break that communication, although typically either a gateway or a BBMD would help with that case. Sorry.
Yeah, so there's kind of two main types of VPNs that you'll probably come across. You'll see this is the just one-to-one or so VPN if you're going to access something across your public network there. So you can see you have your physical connections in black. They're going to be, going to a router, going to a different router. There's going to be a lot of different connections there. Anyone can jump on, connect in, and be trying to get your data. We have this virtual private secure channel, and we're going to talk about how it is actually, how that tunnel is formed, or how that actually works. It's done through encryption and a key. But as you can see here, we just have our client and our server, and we're going across, but there is no one able to access this. It is not. We like to draw it as its own route, but it's actually only using the public lines.
Yeah, and this one typically will be temporary. You log in for a moment, you do your work, and you log out.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, and then the other one we have site to site. So obviously this is the more permanent one. This is one that we're going to set up. Usually you'll have your corporate, you'll have your main headquarters where everything you probably originated from. And then as you're growing a building, you set up and you'll have different locations around different areas, probably maybe to be closer to a certain, you might have a lot of business in an area building up there and many different reasons, but you want to have the feel of that. People who are in one branch or the other branch, they're all a team, they're all working together. You don't want people to have, in one branch have access to certain information and other people have access. You want it to be the sales team, everyone, you want your accounting team or something there. Obviously, when we're talking more OT, we want our devices, but just to make sure that it's based on your functionality a lot of time rather than based on your location. That's with the way the world works nowadays and Zoom and everything. It is very much something that you can work around. You don't want your location to be a factor.
Yeah, one quick note, and we will talk about this near the end of the presentation, is keep in mind that this is not an alternative to high performance inter-site network. There's terms like MPLS, dedicated fiber that are much more powerful. So VPN do have performance limitations.
Yeah, we'll address that just a little bit down as well. So IP addressing through a VPN, this is where, especially with our location basis, so when you're connected to a VPN, how exactly this can work and how different things can work. So if you're connecting a VPN and you're just connecting into a server, as we're saying, if it's a branch office and you're only logging on there, it's not going to, your location isn't going to be affected much. But it's when you VPN into another device or another server, and then from there you route out to the internet going through the router of the other LAN. So we're going to say here, we're going to pretend that we're in Optigo here, we're sat in Vancouver, we're going to remote into something in NYC. So we're going to use the VPN, go into that server there, and then route out through the NYC LAN. So a public IP address, if we were to route out from our LAN directly in Optigo, we're going to use very simple examples here, 192.168.1.1. So we were to go out to the internet there, there's a lot of different things that would allow people to know that we're coming from Vancouver, that I'm based myself in Vancouver. Where if I was to go VPN across the public IP or through the NYC LAN, and from there I'm going to route out through there, my public IP would then be 192.168.2.2, which viewed as a New York LAN. So maybe if there's some offer, something possibly that's only there in New York, something that's only the United States, I could jump in and you can actually appear as if you're coming from there. Obviously we don't use this device to break any rules or anything, but it's just how this works.
Sorry, I just want to give a quick example here. I apologize, clicked the wrong button. for example, our team here at Optigo, during this COVID-19, we're all working from home. A lot of developers are VPNing into our lab to be able to, software builds and testings and so on. And if they brought up the IP address in their command prompt, if it's Windows or terminal in Mac, they would see a series of IP addresses where typically your computer will only have one, and they would have an IP address that's local to their office, and then one IP address that's assigned to them from the optical VPN. In that sense, that will allow them to penetrate into the office network.
Yeah, so for all intents and purposes, even on the public side or on the private side, you have your IP address in that area, and you are located there. So as you can see, you can use VPNs that are just going to hide where you're actually coming from. Now, this is an example here. If you were to change Netflix regions, if you were in Australia and you wanted to use a VPN, you can appear as if you're coming from America, and that can be used to view area restricted stuff. Now, we're almost going to caveat ourselves that we think Netflix has managed to put a stop to this recently, but as an example, or for more less large companies that are doing the same thing, it can often be used to view some things that may be only available in the US or not available in Australia. So then we're just going to say authentication and authorization. These are two things that are often mixed up. They're kind of get confused or even seen as the one. So just to distinguish between the two. So authentication is actually when I try come to a VPN and I say effectively, hi, I'm Tom's laptop. I'm looking to get onto the VPN, and the VPN so it's going to have a login with a password. There's a number of means that we can try identify ourselves or confirm that it is us. But authentication is me saying I'm authentic. I'm Tom's laptop. I'm the one who's actually I'm me, and I am who I say I am. Whereas authorization is now that I confirm who I am, who I said I am, what is Tom's laptop allowed to access? So first you want to make sure who's ever going on the VPN, you don't want someone random just being able to jump into your VPN and get onto your network. Obviously, just once they have the details. So we need to have some means of having them just confirm they are who they are. But then when they log on, we don't want our sales people being able to access IT stuff. We don't want people being able to access some sensitive information that's the top CEOs or so are only supposed to access. So it is just making sure that they know who's coming on, and then what is that person allowed to do now that they are on. So they're kind of the two that go in. So just to be sure that those two are often put together, but there is a difference between the two.
Yeah, and just a quick note, there are a few really solid VPN solutions in our industry, in the building automation, smart building industry. And so if you have looked at their solution, authentication is your username and password basically, or your key, and authorization, often they will call them groups, right? So once you're in, you can access these buildings, but not those ones. You can access during this time, but not that time, kind of things.
And so now we're saying, how is this tunnel formed? So obviously we're not actually putting a steel pipe and running it there to it from one place to another. What we say is we actually have an encryption. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our data, we're going to put it into a blender with a specific key. And that's going to be a pre-established key on the far end. So when that information is sent through, it's effectively taken out of the blender with this key, it's put back together. So it is true that when your information is being sent across the public wires, it's not actually that no one can access that information, but that information is completely useless unless they have the key to unscramble it. So that's the kind of way this is done. It's not actually any physical means of protection stopping people getting it. It's just we're going to make it, code it, and encrypt it, and everything with it, so that it's completely useless without this. These keys are often quite long and quite complex, so it's really not going to be worth anyone's while to go try to break that. So you can see what our little thing here, we have both devices. We have our VPN, we have us, and we have our going through the internet there. Two of them that'll be pre-established, that'll be pre-configured, and that's how this effective steel tunnel is formed.
Just a quick comment. Actually, no, I'll keep the comment for the next slide.
And then performance considerations. So it is one thing to be aware of that, obviously, as Ping had mentioned previously, that if you have a fiber running, or there's a lot of means that you can have a lot faster connection. If you are going over public wires and public connections, that is more than likely going to be the limiting factor in your speed. So as all networks work, it's you can have the highest, the best connections running for 90, 95%. If you have one very slow connection, that's going to be what's stopping you. It's going to bottleneck. It's going to be the weakest link is going to be speed you're running at. So do be aware that if you're running a VPN and you're VPNing into an extremely high bandwidth network, a network that's just almost seamless, but you've got slow internet yourself, your own house, you're going to experience you might experience quite a lot slower experience than you're used to when you're not using the VPN. So that is something to just be aware of. Um, Often actually when you're there with VPN or testing, something just to be aware of now is that you actually often can't VPN from your LAN into your own LAN. As a result, you're going out through the internet with your public IP address and trying to come back in with the same public IP address. That actually cause a bit of issues. Not a major thing in general, there's not really a reason apart from testing that you would need to do that, but just a little thing to be aware of. And there is a lot of processing involved in it. Obviously, there's a lot of it's going to be the heaviest, the most heavy thing that you're doing running on out of the work you're doing or what you're trying to do and out of the things you're accessing. So it will be slow. It will be the slowest, the thing that slows you down the most.
Quick comment, two comments. One is we will talk about protocols, but a VPN have a lot of overhead. It takes a lot of crunching to scramble, unscramble what Thomas was saying there. So that is why you can get VPN devices are relatively cheap all the way to very, very, very high end. And it's the throughput is one of the biggest difference between them. Second of all, just as a byproduct of it, sometimes you'll see that if you are connected to VPN, your link is a little bit more stable. It's not that it's faster, it's more stable, there's less variance. Is that the way VPN works? It typically, once a connection is established, it will try to maintain that connection. Whereas when you don't use VPN, it can kind of bounce around from one packet to the other packet and may take a different route. So sometimes it goes fast, sometimes it goes slow. It's a byproduct of it. There are other ways to do it, but that's one of the neat advantages of using VPN sometimes. It's not that it's faster, it's just more consistent.
So then we're just going to some of the VPN protocols, the different ways you can go about it, or different means of doing it. So there's SSL or TLS. Very common. This is actually more of a new one, I believe. It uses Open VPN Client, which is just a multi-platform. So you have a lot of different people who can help build or improve this, or it's very open source. So I think it's more recently come up as being quite a big one or quite a decent one. PPTP. This is one that just is on a lot of major systems and some smartphones and all these. You don't need a third-party software in order to run this in your network. So it can be very handy or just very convenient in that sense. Then we have IPsec, developed with IP6 and 2P tunneling. This will require a third-party software, which can have cost, and you might have to pay for that. So there's just things to be aware. Obviously, paying for it might result in slightly better, but it is paid software, so that could be a bit of a con for that. And then SSTP is the newest popular protocol. It's hard to block in highly sensitive regions, so that's one of the real advantages of it. Is places where there are heavy firewalls, or places where there are a lot of monitoring, or people being a lot of VPN might work. This is one where a lot of VPN it will work. There's your best chance of working in these sort of areas. So just different advantages or different styles or different types of protocols we can use. Each have their own little protocol.
Yeah, we're not going to dive into these protocols here. Every protocol has an advantage, disadvantage, from encryption strength to performance to compatibility and portability. So some of them are more compatible, but they're a little weaker. Some of them are more intensive in terms of performance, but more secure. And different IT department may block certain protocols. So very often you'll find some of these commercial VPN vendors that will support more than one, so that you can kind of choose the right one to get out. Yeah. I'm just going to put on very quickly again, our next session is next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. We'll talk about layer 4, TCP and UDP, how that's used. And I'm just going to put up a slide, just a little bit more general slide. Sure, let's use this. We do have one question. Question is very business oriented, I think. Does Optigo have a VPN solution? Is VPN built into our products? We are releasing a router and router management in a couple of months. If you're interested, let us know. That the router will support VPN. Our software will not simplify the VPN configuration yet. However, we do have some good friends in our industry that are excellent VPN providers. Um, Reach out to us or reach out to your distributors. Every major distributor that we are in contact with already distributes some of these products. So just reach out to them. And really, it will come down to what level of support do you want. Are you looking for more of a one-to-one? Are you looking for more for an inter-site type of VPN? Are you looking to allow just a couple people to work on it? Are you looking to allow groups where you want to be provide to subcontractors and to your owners and to other contractors and so on? Those will be a consideration. But thank you for the question. We do not officially offer VPN solution. We can help set that up if you want our help through a router. But again, there are a couple of very, very solid solution in our industry, and reach out to your distributors or your other building automation vendors, and they will probably be able to put you in touch or connect with us, and we'll put you in touch with them. Any other questions? Okay, I think we are good. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope these mini webinars are helpful and nice and quick. Grab a bite, take a break, grab a coffee, join us. Our next one is next Wednesday. On that note, stay home, stay safe, take care of each other. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.